Hey everyone, and welcome to Signals from the Frontline, your every Wednesday live broadcast brought to you by Frontline Gaming. We are your hosts, Kicker, the Chief of Serial, and Sigilite of the FLD. And I'm Seth, the Mad Dog, your competitive correspondent. Kicker, how have you been doing, bud?
I'm doing swell. Guys, if you're listening to our podcast, you should be watching us live every Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We were a tad late. That was because of just using new technology, and we have special guests for you guys. But join in live, get the cool visual element, and more importantly, get to hop in and chat, be part of the fun. And yes, hi chat. We love you. We see you, Seth and Nicky D in the back there are going to be commenting because I can't type and talk at the same time. But Seth, guys, I'm very proud to say that I've been painting like a madman. I've gotten. Can we show a photo here? Can we bring that in? Because I'm very proud of my 30. Yes, not 10, not 20, but 30 scions that I've painted. If you're listening, you should be watching so you get these cool visual elements. The progress for the week is pretty damn epic. Nicky D, can you bring that in, please? I'd like to show off my 30 scions. Yes, I painted basically 30 scions. This was 2 weeks of work, but they are glorious in battle. And I played a game earlier this week where I lined up my scions behind an Aegeus defense line. So I know, Seth, you're probably going to think this is the most disgusting in the world, but 30 scions behind the defense line.
It is quite disgusting, but
get that out of the way. So, guys, industry news for the week. We've got a few GW releases. A lot of this is based around 10th edition. Seth, do you want to take the overall faction rule nonsense that we're hearing? Are we happy with it? Not happy? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's been interesting. They've been showing off some of the faction rules, but the main thing they showed off that got me excited was the independent characters rule.
Okay. So explain that. That's a huge change here.
Yeah, some characters will be able to join units. They showed off the Primaris Intercessor because, of course, they showed off the Primaris Lieutenant. Yeah. That he can join certain units like Primaris Intercessors, and his buff only applies to the units that he's joining in. So no longer do you project a aura of buff around your character. It is just the units they're joining. Some units or some characters won't be able to join units. And so they have what's called a lone operative rule where they're untargetable if they're outside of 12 inches. And some of them, there are some conditions on that. They called out, for instance, such as like Iron Father Pharaohs for the Iron Hands only gets that rule when he is near a vehicle. So it'll be interesting. It'll make characters, I think, a bit less survivable because, sake of argument, you're like, here's my super buff lieutenant in a unit of intercessors. Kicker, can you kill a unit of intercessors?
I mean, I can, but they're not always easy to kill. But the point is, I can kill one unit of intercessors.
Kill one unit of intercessors. Yeah, you can. But not you can kill that character, and that character can't, from what they said, they won't be able to join.
And I think it also allows you to easily know, hey, who's being affected by this particular buff. It's like, I'm not exactly sure. It's also capping, right? How many people are getting. So we were just talking about my game earlier this week where I ran one Scion Command Squad with all the banners and relics and upgrades on them, and they were buffing 30 Scions plus 3 heavy weapon mortar teams behind them. All right.
How many Scions? Don't you have shame?
No, I have no shame. So I had 30 Scions, 9 mortar in the back, all getting buffed with re-rolls and out the way. It was. I mean, I felt dirty. And that was a lot of fun. And I destroyed my opponent, and it was glorious. And victory was mine, but it did feel a little bad. So now having one buffing character buff one squad kind of makes a little more sense. We've also got the rules for the line. We got the full rules. They gave us the full data sheet, so now you can see everything. Which is great. I mean, this is what we've all been waiting for. Seth, thoughts really fast. Is he too much? Is he too much? We know his points. His points are 3 something, right?
He's not too much. He's a monster. Just like all the other Primarchs. So he has the same problem of walking through walls, like my boy Gavin.
Yeah, or Gilliman. Not walking through walls.
I don't care about Gilliman. He ain't my boy.
All right. It is weird though that these Primarchs, Gilliman is a monster, for lack of a better word, because that is literally.
How tall he is. It's really hard to stoop through doorways.
Something that I, as a very short human being, has not had problems with. Now we've also got a new NID unit. These are the Von Ryan's Leapers. I don't know who Von Ryan is and why he has a Tyranid, unit named after him, but they look cool. They
look kind of like the offspring of lictors.
Yes, they look like baby lictors or something like that, or some sort of lictor unit as opposed to an individual, which is kind of cool. And then for you Age of Sigmar players out there, we did get a battle scroll update, which was always much appreciated. Seth, though, GW pre-orders. What's the GW pre-order this week to watch?
Let's put a pin on that, because we do have the ability to now go back and show off.
Okay, so we want to show some hobby progress. I don't know. Can we go back in time and show that real fast? Because I am pretty proud. So you're going to see a photo right now, guys. This was my deployment at the start of round one. This is an Aegis defense line with 30 Scions behind that, with a command squad behind that, and then there's a nice large building where my mortars are hiding in, and it is just filthy. And so the Aegis defense line basically gives you armor of contempt. So my Scions who are rocking a 4-up save now have a 3-up save with a -1 to your AP. And it's just disgusting. It's rude. And then they have all these other little buffs that, like, if you charge me, I actually get to hit with +1 to my weapon skill, like just like little fun buffs like that. So
and you were over here telling me you couldn't kill intercessors.
Yeah, they murder intercessors with their hotshot las guns that get all these rules. Yeah, exactly. Murder, and it was a lot of fun. I felt like I had a legitimate castle. I had my little wall, and then I had my building behind it, and then my tanks and all that were out in the back just lobbing shots along. So that was my hobby progress. It's a bunch of models. I'm gearing up for my RTT this weekend, and I wanted to get these models painted and a few rounds in, a few reps in, so that this weekend I don't get totally slaughtered. Seth, I know you've been busy because you've been painting this weekend, right?
I have.
All right, let's see it.
I painted up some more knobs because you always need more knobs.
Yeah, I can.
So now I'm up to a full 16 or 18 knobs. I just got a few more boxes in.
How are you running them? Are you running them double?
All power
claws. Wow.
Yeah. Don't they want to give you a hug and you don't want.
All right.
But then I did some non-40K hobby progress. I painted up a 3D printed statue of All Might from the show My Hero Academia. I'm really happy with how he turned out. He was a lot bigger than I anticipated. I scaled him down a bunch, and there was a lot of gap filling I had to do because things didn't come out quite perfect. But overall, happy with how he came out. So excited to see how that's going to be on my desk at work. I just gotta. All those little smoke bits are real fragile, and I'm just like, I have to carry him to work and be like, don't break on the way. Oh my.
Okay, we need to talk personal stuff here. Do you work in a workplace which is accepting of your geekiness? Like, do people look at? They don't have a choice. They don't have a choice. Well,
it's happening. I am a geek.
But are you like the weird one in the group, or is it pretty normal to have
I am definitely the weird one in the group.
All right. Well, okay. What about Nicky D? I know that he was busy this weekend, but I don't think he was hobbying as much as he was partying, right? Nick, what were we up to this weekend, man?
That is true. I went to a beer fest in a baseball stadium. I live in Washington, D.C., and I went to a beer fest at Nationals Park. The cool thing about this is I'm standing in line waiting for a beer, and I recognize a guy because he was part of my team for the 40K narrative at Cherokee. I had never met him before, aside from Cherokee. Hadn't seen him since. Recognized the face. We started chatting 40K. We made sure to exchange numbers so we can get a game in here locally because he lives in Washington, D.C. like I do. So I did get some painting progress done on my Karos Fate Weaver. You can see him on the screen now.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
I will say I felt really good. I did the wings, did a lot of the body and the other parts, so definitely had some progress. But I have been stuck on my hobby progress for the last 3 days, and I cannot figure out what needs to be done to get his armor done. So if you've got any ideas, let me know. I feel like I'm just stuck in a rut for that part.
Yeah.
God, help him out.
Yeah, and Chad, if you're in chat, give us some advice. We also have a guest that might be able to give a little, feedback there. Nick, I'm going to tell you straight up, dude, have a bunch of scrap intercessors. Like, I literally, you can get them from free from Warhammer stores. And I just have I have 20 of them. And I just, when I want to try an armor recipe or something, I just go to town on them. And they're just I'm painting some new models right now. I'm like, you know what? I want to try darker armor here. Or I want to try a really shiny, Royal Knight style thing here. And anyway, highly recommend having your scrap minis just waiting to get tackled or tested on. So, okay, guys, we should jump right into the GW pre-orders this weekend. There are some big stuff, namely the Lion. Both the book and the model are coming out. We got to remember, guys, the Lion.
One fan of the Lion in chat.
Okay, good. Who is it? Can we call him out?
Disflux.
Disflux. All right, Disflux. Well, this model is gorgeous, as I'm sure you've seen the photos. But remember, folks, it's not just the lion. You do get 3 blade guard in that box. So it's a nice little box set. And, like we were talking earlier, you're going to be able to get your blade guard, your lion. Well, do we know if the lion can join? I guess we don't know yet. Can the lion do this whole 10th edition?
Yeah, we don't know if 10th edition for 9th edition. No, he's not joining.
Not joining anything, but maybe in 10th he can join his squads and whatever. The other cool thing is this Primarch has a bunch of head options, which is cool, right? You got a lot of options here. Despite it being a special character, you can still add your own personal touch. And we've got Primaris Azrael, and for Nicky D, our big Blood Angels fan, we've got a Dante as well, all going over pre-order this weekend. And then Vashtor, available for the first time, not in the big box set. And we got to give a big nod to GW for this. This is huge. This is the fastest turnaround that I've seen for one of these.
There's definitely a lot of models that get released in those formats that we don't see in their separate kits. I'm looking at you, Space Marine suppressors.
Yes. Oh my gosh, you're right.
Yeah, but I'm glad to see that those character models escape the purgatory of their box set.
I mean, Vashtor. This is what, a few months, if that, like 2 months, right? Since he dropped, and he's back. He's already out and alone. So I don't know. I'm excited because I'm happy to see models sold on an individual basis. And then we've also got the boarding patrols. These are the final 2 boarding patrol sets that will be released, at least for now. And this is a Leagues of Votan and an Agents of the Imperium.
Well, I would assume for now, because those are the last 2 factions.
They are the last 2 factions, but they might always like make a new one or something like that.
No, GW has never made a new faction.
Ever.
I am here to tell everyone that we're new faction.
Nothing.
I guarantee it.
Let's bring in Nicky D so that he can give us a little highlight real fast on our nerd news segment. What's going on in the world of nerd news, Nicky D?
Guys, the first trailer for the Star Wars Ahsoka was released this past week. The big reveal here, Grand Admiral Thrawn in the flesh,
is he the
live
blue guy?
Action. Yes, the blue guy. He's the Chiss general. If you've read any of the Timothy Zahn books that were popular in the early 90s, those are now technically Star Wars legend, just like there are models in 40K that are legended. Those books technically don't exist anymore. But this new Ahsoka series, though, it is going to bring in some elements for some more recent Timothy Zahn novels involving Thrawn, which I've read those. I love them. I'm actually on the second book in one of his newer trilogies around Thrawn. Go check out the trailer. If you're a fan of any of the new Star Wars stuff, or if you love the Star Wars Rebels series, if you haven't watched that, go and watch it. Yes, it's a cartoon, but it's honestly some of the best Star Wars that you're going to see. Check it out. You're going to recognize a bunch of the characters that are included there.
Well, dude, you just mentioned cartoons. We got to talk about okay, I know you're a Star Wars dude, and I like Star Wars too, but like I'm even more of a loyal fan to Nintendo stuff. And we've got the Super Mario movie, man. Did you know this got Jack Black in it? Seth Rogen and Chris Pratt are the voice actors for this. Like, this is an all-star lineup here. They can't go wrong with this movie. It's gonna be too damn good. So you've got Star Wars, you got Nintendo. Come on, Henry. We want some 40K content from you, please.
Yeah, we do. Don't let us down, Saint Henry Cavill.
Please. All right, let's talk real fast. BAO, we're talking real fast about event news. BAO is looking really solid, guys. ACO, though, this is going to be the biggest event we've had outside of LVO. It is just growing. Yeah, I'm getting goosebumps talking about it. Like, I'm like, wow, I did not think we would see this kind of growth, and this is really exciting. But the real news, not just for today, but I guess I'd say for the entire month, is that LSO went live as of high noon today, Texas time. Guys, blown away. I guess people are just really hungry for 40K because tickets have gone faster than any one of our other events. And the room block in this very large Marriott is almost gone. It's halfway gone, right? But halfway gone.
I've heard good things about the hotel.
The hotel is great, and it's attached to Modern Convention Center. It's across the street from all these restaurants and bars, so you don't have to drive a car. So yes, LSO is a big deal. And don't forget, this is our military appreciation event, so there's a lot of perks for military folk. And if you have served or formerly served, there's going to be the branch versus branch competition within the 40K tournament there, so you can represent your branch. And yeah, a lot of fun stuff.
And we've got a link in the description of this video if you want to go check out some tickets and snag them while you can. I believe, Kicker, you were saying they were almost half gone.
Yeah, it's insane. Like now, I think there's just a lot of excitement. People really want, people have been waiting for LSO since the beginning. So I'm curious to see if we keep on seeing, tickets, like this kind of sale going on for the rest of the week. But day one, I mean, blown away. This is the biggest day one response outside of LVO. So very, very much.
Yeah, I think Displug says it too. If the rumors are all in alignment and we see a 10th ed release towards the end of June, this would be the first event that FLG hosts in 10th edition. So some folks are probably excited to get out there and roll some dice, assuming everything lines up like that, folks.
Yeah, and assuming everything lines up like Seth is saying, and Kicker's not saying anything like this, but assuming things do line up like that, we do have a very good judge team on site for this particular event, so we make sure that is going to be as smooth as possible for all players in attendance.
You can stay tuned here for any updates about that going forward.
Yeah. So guys, get your, if you're even considering LSO, get your ticket and definitely get your room block. You can, that room block is going to be
FLG has a fairly hardy refund policy. So I've personally made the mistake recently for some other local events going, oh, I'll buy the ticket later, and then it was sold out.
Yeah. Don't be. Do not want to miss LSO. LSO is going to be too much fun. Okay, guys, time for our signal short. Seth, take it away.
Let's bring in our guest, though. Our guest is last year's Hobby Track winner, Matt Aaron. And, I thought since we were going to have him on this week and talk about all things hobby, what better question to ask Matt than, in 30 seconds or less, how do you go from 0 to Hobby Track champion? What is your number one tip? Oh, let me
practice.
I need 5 seconds. All right, I'll just do it. I got to do it fingers. Oh.
That's all you need. That's all you need to do is practice. Like if people think there's a trick or there's a joke or some sort of like cheat code, no, it's just practicing the basics really well. Everything from brush strokes, highlighting, washes, trying things out, just having fun with it, really. Yeah. So that's kind of how you win. Practice, paint a pretty decent army, and then also go to events, hang out with people, engage, with the community. So those things coming together, perfect storm. You have a record year, the Hobby Track.
All right. Well, welcome, Matt. Thank you so much for joining us. I think now is the point where I unleash the kicker.
Dude, I have to ask you, the audience needs to know, what is your favorite sugary breakfast cereal? This is critical information that we must know. Don't think. You got to just give me your answer, man.
I appreciate heavy-hitting questions first. There's a lot of competitors, only one champion. That's Reese's Puffs.
Okay. That's a solid staple.
Can't beat it.
Can't beat it. Okay, I fully respect you. Now let's get into the meat and potatoes of this conversation. Seth, I know you have a few questions because I know you're trying to level up your competitive side. I'm trying to level up my hobby side, and I want to be enlightened here. So let's hit him.
Well, I think, we should give Matt a bit of a chance to introduce himself, explain to the viewers kind of, when did you get into the game and what kind of drives you to do something as I wouldn't say insane, but difficult as pursue the Hobby Track champ.
I started playing 40K back in 3rd edition. Went to a local GW store back in Buffalo as a young teenager. Got pretty hooked, and definitely, it was a different time back in 3rd edition. 40K was not what it used to be. So I really kind of evolved into more the hobby side of things, being a youngster. Then I took about a 15-year break, to go to college, and then I kind of came back to it. But during undergraduate, I took some art courses, so I think I picked up a lot of the basics from color theory to composition, light sourcing, textures, all that stuff. And fast forward, here I am, came back a couple of years ago and constantly improving the same army. The past 3 years, it's taken 3 years to get to this point, and I've absolutely had a blast. When you kind of look at it more of a hobby, you really can't lose because you put as much as you can into it. So with art being so subjective, I've really genuinely been extremely lucky the past year. Rubrics vary event to event. So the Hobby Track is not always the most consistent, given how subjective art can be. So I'm really fortunate to have placed as well as I did so many events and massive events to, kind of come out on top. But for me, I don't think I was really going for it until LVO swung around and I kind of had to go. I really was just going to various events around the area and kind of scooping up a lot of points. And at a certain point, I was like, wait, I might have a shot at this, and I think the community, especially my team members on Death and Glory and the U.S. Army Esports team, really kind of pushed me. Hey, you got this. You definitely go for it. And so I think their support was really the final push, not only to build this massive display board to be able to fly with the last second, but also to actually make a shot for it. So I'm really glad I had them in my corner.
Wow.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm very impressed with your work. I saw your large display board over at LVO this year. You don't get to building and traveling with something like that by accident. And to me, that's one of the display boards are always next level. So how do you deal with like creating a display board? Like you have to have a vision and a plan to get to something like that, but also how does that vision and plan work into, and then I have to take this thing from my house where I built it and paint it and show people it out in the world.
Yeah, the transportation alone, the logistics associated with that is a challenge. Jeez.
Yeah.
Oh, also, we have a very important question from one of your competitors in chat.
Probably
Dean
my
Pritchard
military
wants to know.
experience came pretty helpful here, but yeah, it's kind of an evolution. I think I can really sum it up into one event that I've been striving for the past 4 years, that I've had to constantly push my Army and display board, and as a consequence, it happens to do well at every other event. But Du Bois, it's held every year. It's a long-standing GT. It brings in a lot of great hobbyists and competitors from Canada all over the East Coast to kind of compete in this actually very sportsmanship focused event, and get the level of hobby competition is second to none. You have some phenomenal armies, and so I have to paint my army to this level just to make this showcase. And I've only tied for first for best painted, but didn't win it overall due to tiebreakers. Even last year with this massive display, only got fourth. So just to say, there's a really strong hobby community there, and we've been pushing each other very competitively, but also helping each other. How are you doing this? How are you doing that? So I think that's also been just this meat grinder that's just really forced some really, really awesome armies, but also forced this community there. Very close knit, very supportive. You're going to win game and lose games, but for them, it's very much, did you have a good time? Was the experience fun? Did you have an experience with your opponent at GT that you could see yourself maybe getting, lunch with them or something like that too? So I think it's that event that's really driven this evolution of my display board from just being basic one level with floating island to then a lot more elements, now 2 floating islands. And I made this thing I call the Disney Chaos Princess Castle that had these triple spires, and it was massive. But the problem was is that it's too big to fly with. So there I was a month outside of LVO being like, crap, what am I going to do? Well, if I'm going to do this, I have to really put a lot of effort, energy into making it top world class, because you have some amazing people from around the world coming to LVO. And if I want to be competitive and really earn this crown, well, I got to really put a lot of effort into it. So through that, I got a huge tough box. I scaled it, got some tips on some ways that I would want to kind of create this very realistic kind of cave, underneath this giant castle, and kind of put all the elements together. But if I could offer a few pro tips, by the way, for traveling, if I live in New York City, so it's easy to get to Chicago for Adepticon, the GW Open, Du Bois, ACO coming up in a few months, Motor City Mayhem in Michigan, not too far away, and neither is the Maryland Open. So a lot of awesome events really close. So I just take this giant display board, throw it in my back seat, and hit the road. But for LVO, that's across country, got to fly. So I had to be pretty creative and use a lot of ingenuity. But when you do fly, do 3 things. Take your army, bubble wrap it, and carry it with you. That way it's not being mishandled, nothing bad happening. You can go through security with it, no problem, no issues. You minimize the damage with it. 2, if you are going to check a bag, make sure you also bubble wrap it. So give yourself a little bit of space around the perimeter, add some foam, bubble wrap, make sure you allot for that space, or else, you might find yourself a little bit in trouble. And make sure there's no wiring or batteries inside of your display board if you can avoid it. Well, why is that? TSA hates that, so they'll take out your display board, look at everything, and then put it back in, but just shove it all back in. And then what happens? You find yourself in Las Vegas, and then your giant 70-pound tough box comes out of the display case, kind of like a U.S. gymnast doing a tumble floor routine going all the way down the conveyor belt, and you're like, oh my goodness, what just happened? And so my display board actually was in pieces. It was like a hobby blood mess. Various nicks, dents, pieces everywhere. That's my first time going to LVO, so I kind of look at my roommate, TJ Lanigan, who's been super supportive throughout all this. He's like, you're going to have an early morning. So I got in late the night beforehand. I got a few hours of sleep, but I woke up at 2 a.m. I had some paints that you always, that's tip number 3, always bring paints to touch up your models, touch up your display board. I was up until 2 a.m. the night of 2 a.m. in the morning of the championship, just trying to put pieces together, glue them, painting, just trying to make everything look as well as it did before I packed it. And I guess things kind of worked out. I had a mobile, fog machine that really worked well with the lighting. And sure enough, I came out 7th at LVO, which I'm just absolutely blown away by. There was some really, really amazing talent there. People put a lot of effort, a lot of time, a lot of energy. And if I may say so, as you're traveling, where do you get these tips and ideas? Well, someone gave me these tips and ideas. So share them on with other people who might be traveling or a little nervous to travel, because they've also kind of going through these hardships. But yeah, it's kind of I'll save you the long background, the evolution of the display board, but it's definitely taken a lot of work and effort, energy, and multiple revisions to tell the story I want to with my Death Guard, which are very unique in that way.
Wow. Very cool. Oh, Seth, we can't hear Seth. Let's bring Seth back in. There we go. Okay, I think Seth is getting his mic set up. Can you guys hear me? I think you can hear me, right? All right, sweet. Yeah, Matt, I got to ask, dude, what's your motivation? Are you just trying to be the best and get the trophy? Is this a personal ego thing? Is it the prize support? Or are you just somebody that, strives to, forever better, forever improvement, constantly? What's your motivation to keep you going at this?
Oh man, that's a really good question. Generally, it's just been kind of the community. I mean, that sounds maybe kind of basic and pretty simple, but generally, I mean, because art being so subjective, I can go to 10 events and win all 10 or win none of them. You never know. Given rubrics and how they can change, and someone could see someone different. So I try to give my best just for intrinsic motivation, my personal challenge. I always try to set a personal bar for myself, and it helps having surrounding myself with great hobbyists who are also great players. Like I mentioned, TJ Lanigan a minute ago, Andrew Gagnon, you have also Sean Naden, Blake Law, all of these awesome players who are also devoted to the hobby that we just share ideas for. So I think it's, just talking with them before events, getting hyped up, the pressure of a deadline to kind of have everything come together last second. Then you get to the event and the pressure's off. And so you can hang out in between rounds, go out to dinner after the day, or then do what I'm doing right now with Adepticon and kind of riding that high afterwards in terms of kind of hitting the grindstone. I've had a phenomenal run with this Death Guard army. I've put my heart, and soul into it, and a lot of inspiration, a lot of community support through it. But I think I have to kind of turn the page now and kind of step aside for other people. And so that's motivating for me to kind of help support other people as they're kind of up and coming. And we have some amazing artists. I know before the show we were talking, and I want to give credit where credit's due. Hobby Track, you really had 4 people place, and I want to give credit where credit's due. You had last year myself just breaking the record, but then you also have close by, Andrew Gagnon. You have Kevin Chubbs, who came out of nowhere and by like a point missed out on second place. And you also have Jacob Thayer coming in real hot all season and just super close to the finish line. So you had some amazing armies, but such different styles. And so again, the idea is what keeps me motivated is not only kind of us pushing each other collaboratively, but sharing ideas, talking about it, maybe getting a drink or two afterwards, as we kind of talk a little bit about what we've been finding really, really interesting. I mean, I do find a lot of motivation in challenging myself to different tasks or different armies. Like right now, I'm really motivated by the new line that's coming out. Also with this little bit of setup for 10th editions, giving some time to kind of catch up on my hobby, backlog. So a lot of different places are motivating, but I think number one has been the community and the conversations I'll have in between events, or people who may not know me, because I tend to keep a low profile and tend to be pretty humble in the ways I can be. But they'll come and approach me and we'll have a conversation before you realize it. hey, next round pairings are up. And I'm like, hey, 5 minutes later. And we do. And we talk about their army, what they've been working on. And then what happens? You see someone at ACO, then you see him at, Nova, in DC. And then you're like, oh, this is what I did. And you can kind of have a lot of just great interactions that you can't really quantify, but I think is a really hallmark of the hobby side of things, as opposed to maybe the best general type. So I tend to put my best effort into it. Sometimes I'll win best painted, sometimes I won't, and then other times I'll hopefully go on for improve my actual game side of it with maybe having some more competitive units. But we'll see.
Well, you guys, you heard it there. Okay, a well-rounded player and obviously accomplished hobbyist. Somebody that's going to improve his generalship. Matt, we're really grateful to have you on. We got to keep this rolling. We might have you ask a few questions. We'd like to have you back on in the future. I hope that's cool with you, man. We are going to have to run over and start talking really fast about some of our affiliates to stick to our schedule. Guys, Seth, I don't know if you're still with me. Are you still with me, Seth? I don't know. Seth, unfortunately, is not here right now, but he'll be back later. But Matt, thank you so very much. We're going to jump really fast into our frontline gaming entertainment news. We got a few things coming up. Let's jump right into here, the guys. We've got Yavin Base. This is they're doing their Legion stream from Adepticon. This is finally now up for video on demand. Seth, hey, you're back. How you doing, buddy?
Can you hear me?
Oh, I can hear you. Can the world hear you? Because that's all that matters, man. We love your sweet voice.
I think we just got to add my video back in, but I think we've
that's okay.
That's gremlin dealt with. Or Seth, I could just be a disembodied voice, and we can make Kicker dance on camera.
Creepy. All right, Seth, what's going on at Party at the All Points this week? Do you know?
So I was listening to Party at the All Points, and if you haven't listened to Party at the All Points before, I pulled one joke that you need to hear.
All right,
and this is all. And if you like this joke, you just need to go listen to Party at the All Points. That's all you need to know. The joke is very simple. What did the left butt cheek say to the right butt cheek, Kicker?
No idea.
If we stick together, we can put a stop to all this shit. And that's how they opened their show. And I was like, that's enough. I know exactly where this show's going, and I'm in for it. And if you want that kind of humor too, go check them out. They're a great bunch of guys. They're real fun to listen to. It's very very much as the vibe of three friends, sitting around after a day of gaming, just having dinner and talking with each other. So
and to be clear, Party All the All Points is not just talking about potty jokes. They are a Sigmar focused podcast. That's the primary.
So, okay, just make sure. They're not all potty jokes. It's like
okay, Age of Sigmar with a dash of potty. I like it. I like it.
They're a lot of fun. They're a good listen.
What about our friends over in the Thursday show? Apparently they're rebranding.
They are relaunching their channel now that they are on their own channel, and it's tomorrow night is their first show. 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, just like before. But you can find them over at the Warhammer Meta Chasers channel now. So go check them out there. Super excited to see them back up and running and get their show back out to the world. Not to say, having a week off last week was a good thing, but Easter weekend tended to be a slower weekend event-wise.
Yeah.
A lot of folks have plans, so it was kind of a good chance for them to take a break, regroup, and get their new channel set up. So good for them. Go check them out over there. Kicker, I kind of was hopping in and out there trying to get my audio fixed. You hit on Yavin Base, right?
Yeah, hit on the Yavin Base.
Check them out if you want to go see those Adepticon top table games for Legion.
I want to bring in Nicky D real fast. So let's bring in Nicky D. Nicky D, why don't you explain what a community spotlight is going to be as this reoccurring segment and why it's so important to Signals and what we do here?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Kicker. So we're really excited as we go through some changes here at Signals from the front line, and we I'll say at this point, appreciate everyone having patience with the new tech priest here as we get some things figured out. But we assure you that it's swinging for bigger and better fences here. And just like Seth on his quest to be the biggest and the best, that's what we're going for with the show. So that's what we're just taking the Seth mantra on this, the Orc mantra. Orcs, they got something right. At least one thing right. But they got many more things right. But something else that at least one. But something else that we really feel strongly about is the Warhammer community, right? We love playing the games, but so much of what we do is just the people that we see at events. And there's a lot of really great interaction on the Frontline Gaming community Facebook page. So what we're doing on a weekly basis is we'll be putting out a question, a poll. Sometime it'll be related to Warhammer and 40K gaming. Sometimes it might be a little bit more fun and silly. We'll see where that goes. So we're going to bring elements of that in, and then we're also going to be bringing in and showing off some of the great artwork, some of the great painting, some of the great hobby progress that not just we're doing as hosts of the show, but what you as members of the community are doing. So, Kicker, I'll kick it back to you to go over what we asked people about this week.
Cool. Well, guys, this week, we saw the new data slate of the Lion. So we put a poll out there on the Frontline Gaming Community Group on our Facebook page there, right? And if you're not a member, you should be a member because that's how you get to chat with all of us on a daily basis. But yeah, we put this question out there. Hey, with the Lion, with all his stats and all his points out being out there, what is the most competitive Primarch that we have right now? Do we have is it the Lion? Is it Guilliman? Is it Mortarion? Magnus? Agron? Sorry. Abaddon, who basically is a Primarch, even though technically he's not. He kind of is. Or, of course, Gaz, because the orcs always want representation.
Also, because when we discussed this internally, I said you better put Gazzy on that.
Yeah, so we did add Gaz and Abaddon, who technically aren't Primarchs, but whatever.
The Supreme Commander keyword. Don't you take my boy away from me.
Okay, so we're talking purely a competitive perspective here, right? Who are you going to bring to your GT, your Super Major, the ACO? Who is the guy to bring? And the Lion, he's new and shiny, but he only got 12% of the votes. Guilliman, no love there. He's at 6%. Mortarion, same level. No one's really excited about him. 6%. Magnus, though, he is the weakest link at 1%. Nobody is bringing Magnus to battle it out.
He did do something wrong.
Yeah, right. He did do something wrong. But Angron up there at 26%. Hell yes. Angron, yeah, I can see it.
Solid.
38% goes to Abaddon, our winner of this poll. Abaddon apparently is the most competitive of these super.
But Kicker, who came in at number 3?
And number 3 was Gaz with 11%, and actually he's number 4. If I'm looking at this, he's number 4. I'm not going to count. I'm not going to count.
The Lion doesn't count.
Yeah. Oh, we're seeing the Lion doesn't count. Okay. The Lion doesn't count.
The Lion yet. They can't take him to the tabletop.
If the Lion doesn't count, and we're just not going to count Angron or Abaddon, then Gaz is number 1. So there we go. Gaz is number 1.
I love it.
Of our poll at 11%. Well done, guys. Now, Seth, you saw some beautiful stuff posted on the front.
I'm always keeping an eye out for some great painted models over on our community page. So I picked 4 of them this week. Our first one up is a set of stealth suits that are transitioning into their camo.
Oh, that's so badass.
Active camo.
Do we know who painted those?
Those are from Nathan Sims.
Sweet.
Adam Peterson, who is usually the community member that's always posting on Wednesdays, asking for his work in progress. He showed off something you'll love, Kicker, which is his Royal Dorn, but in the Death Corps of Creed.
That is awesome. You see, guys, just because the kit doesn't come with a Death Corps Krieg, crew or a Death Corps Krieg tank commander, doesn't mean you can't paint your tank to be in those colors. And that is gorgeous.
What I love about this one that I want to point out that Adam did really well is painting gray could be kind of boring. Yeah. And he has got a lot of tones in that gray. Yeah. So that turned out really well. We have Daniel Cardona up next. He's been working on some custodians. And I love I can't remember. I think it's Shadow Keepers, but I love the black armor on custodians.
Yeah, so badass.
Because it really makes the gold on them pop. When they're just like all gold head to toe, it just kind of is.
It's one-dimensional,
it just doesn't make anything really stand out. So when you've got this black and gold, and then he's got the red accents, I really like that color combo. So
well done,
great job there, Daniel. And then last we have a work in progress from Daniel Dominguez. And this is a Nurgle Demon Prince. I figured, Nurgle would be close to Matt and Nicky's heart. Still work in progress, but he's doing some, again, you could get over simple with something like Nurgle where it's just a bunch of green, but again, he's got a lot of good tones in there, a lot of earth tones for you, Kicker.
I love those earth tones,
and then a little pop here and there with some purple. So coming out great. And it's a great conversion. So great job, everyone. I'll always be posting up whatever I've been working on this week. Adam's always up there posting, but if you've got some hobby progress you want to show off, please post them up there, and I'll be happy to feature you on the show each week.
Nice.
But that, Kicker, I think is it for this week. What final thoughts did you have?
Well, guys, it was an interesting show where we're trying out some new technology in the back end, and we're learning. And we had a guest that was a new guest on a new show, all this fun stuff. So bear with us. But I do want to tell you guys that I am so stoked for my RTT this weekend. I've got an RTT on Saturday. My wife gave me the nod of approval to go play, despite her being pregnant and us having a toddler in the middle of potty training. So there is poo everywhere. But guess what? She's like,
wait. So you were giving crap for Party at the All Points for potty humor, and then you're talking about
this
poo
is
everywhere.
This is not potty humor. This is just my life right now. Like literally, human fecal matter is just But it's great. I love my son, and I'm very grateful to have a wife who is willing to watch him for an entire day while I go play 40K. So I have not gotten to an RTT and geez, I don't want to say 6-7 months just because I've been traveling and work. So I am so excited to go play full 3 rounds of 40K in one day. Seth, anything you're excited for?
I don't have a whole lot going on this weekend. I'm just going to be doing some hobby progress. I'm a 3D printing fanatic now, so I've got a bunch of thematic Gretchen that I printed off. I don't need them to go to the
any of that.
I'm going to in a few weeks, but I'm going to start working on them. I've got some paint coming in from FLG, so hopefully I can get that project kicked off later this week. But not too much exciting there. But I do know that Nick has some stuff going on next week he's excited about.
Yes, I do. Okay, so it took me a second to hit the unmute button for myself. I'm still here. I'm still excited. It's
Nothing's
getting late.
On fire.
Nothing's on fire. It's late, getting to late night on the East Coast. No, so real quick, next week, excited. We're going to be bringing on another guest, working through a couple of technical difficulties, but we're bringing on a guest for next week. You might have heard of him before. You might have heard him on various frontline gaming podcasts through the years. We're going to have none other than Archon Skari. So, yep, you know him, you love him. If you're new to Warhammer and don't know Archon Skari, you're going to get to know Archon Skari. So we're really excited to have him on here. We'll be talking a little bit about what happens and how you prepare for a change of editions in Warhammer. Skari has been through, I think this will be his 7th edition that he has played, or it will be. So he knows a few things about that. He's experienced as a coach. He's experienced as a WTC player for Canada. This is a guy who knows a lot of things. And Seth, Kicker, fingers crossed. There's one other thing that hasn't come up yet, but we're expecting a 40K balanced data slate at some point. Maybe, right? It's going to be happening.
I'm excited for it.
They said, Games Workshop said it was happening after Easter, so rest assured, folks, whether that's next week or the week after that or the week after, we're going to touch on it. We're going to make sure to talk about that when it comes, okay?
All right. Well, I think that's it for us tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. We really hope you enjoyed this episode of Signals from the Frontline, despite some of our technical difficulties, but we have worked through them. Have a great week, and we will see you next Wednesday.
Good night, guys.